And good afternoon. It's Friday, the 11th day of July, 2014. That's 7-11 for all you gamblers out there. It's a beautiful day in the Northeast. Lots of sunshine again, low humidity. Gotta love this weather. It's, like I said, for July, you can't beat it. We'll go quickly to the dew point map. And as you can see, once again, very comfortable in the Northeast. Dew points in the 50s, low 50s upstate New York and in central and northern New England. Mid to upper 50s in the New York City, Boston area down into northern New Jersey. And then as we get further to the south, we start getting into quickly, progressively more humid weather, which you usually expect this time of year. And as you can see, I'll show you in a second, this all basically is around our front. And it'll show you on the Earth map exactly where the front is located. You can see a little bit of a wave out here and a little bit of a storm on the wave. Not much, but just enough for a little circulation out here. If you look at this dark blue contour here, down into there, you could see pretty much that's where our front is lying. To the south and east of that, you've got winds coming up out of the south. And to the north and west of that, you've got the winds coming from the northeast and the north. And it pretty much lines up perfectly with the humid air. And as you go further out to the west, where you saw the humid air came all the way up north, like in the U shape, you could see there also you got the strong southerly flow in the atmosphere. Whereas down over here, you got a high pressure cell over the Great Lakes, bringing down the relatively cooler and drier air from the north. Let's go to the water vapor loop. This will show very clearly the drier air. You could see the tongue of blue that's coming into the East Coast here. Dark blue is the dry air in the upper atmosphere, the driest air in the upper atmosphere. The lighter blue is relatively dry air. And then as you get just off the coast, you can see where the front is hung up here. Another little wave looking like it's trying to form out along the Carolina coast, which is back in the flow a little bit down here, but that shouldn't affect anybody. That should stay just offshore everywhere, so there shouldn't be a problem anywhere north of Southeast Virginia with this front here. If you also can see, you've got a digging trough up here. You got cooler air plunging down into the northeast, and you got our next digging trough out here coming in from the Northwest Territories. That's going to be our next player next week as far as driving that cold, so-called polar vortex, which is really technically not a polar vortex because there's definitions that I'm not going to get into right now about what an actual polar vortex is, but it's for this time of year. It's so I can't stand that word. Abnormal. Polish people can't get their tongues untied. It's so abnormal for this time of year to have that kind of cold in the atmosphere come this far south into the Great Lakes that for all intents and purposes it is like a polar vortex in the summertime as far as its real sensible effect on the weather. And what'll basically happen is this pool of cold air that'll set up early next week will bring impulses along it, and the contrast in between how cold it is here and the warm, moist summer air that'll be still riding up the East Coast on this stalled frontal boundary here will basically provide a corridor in the Northeast for severe weather coming up next week. If we look at our GFS, I don't have the 12Z, which should have came out already on paper, but I'm still going by the 6Z, which is earlier this morning. You can see right now We got some nice dew points. Like I said, anything below the low 60s is fine. You know, so we're pretty good until Sunday, and then Sunday we start to see our humidity creeping up. Temperatures are pretty good, 80s, low 80s. You know, which for this time of year you cannot complain. Now this is Central Park, New York City, so where you are necessarily is not the same as this, but I'm using this as a centralized point for now. Now, as we go into early next week, we go into the Monday to Wednesday period. First thing we notice is a lot of precipitation in this time frame here, as that vortex will be interacting with that stalled front, and there's going to be copious amounts of moisture and waves coming into that front and interacting, and there's going to be chances for showers and heavy storms at any time. And like I said, there's even a chance that we get one of those derechos that come whipping in on the upper flow from the northwest. You know, sometimes they're moving like 60 miles an hour, and they come crashing through with 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds over a long, narrow corridor, and they do a lot of damage. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But pretty much, you know, Monday we start getting into chances for some rain, and I think the Tuesday night frame is when we're going to get the bulk of the rain, as that system starts pushing, you know, the cold front that's associated with it towards the East Coast. And this should eventually push that storm out to sea by Wednesday. As you could see, Wednesday at 12Z, which is basically morning when you wake up, 7 o'clock, you see the dew point in New York City starts dropping 54, 53. So, and we stay in the 50s pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even got a 44 here on Sunday. So that'll be some pretty nice weather. Now, also the temperatures, again, normal summertime temperatures. You know, tolerable dews. At the end of the period here, we got the 90s showing up again. But like I told you the other day, this is like 14 days out, and the model basically figures a lot of climatology in with this. So this here may just be a pipe dream. Not to say that it can't happen, but I'm not looking at this as anything that I would look as a rock solid forecast by the model at this point. But what we do see basically is the overall pattern that I set out early in the season, that we will have, cooler intrusions battling against, the prevailing summer conditions, and that even when it does get hot and humid, we're going to see the end coming and another, refreshing blast of, if not necessarily cooler air, at least drier, more tolerable air. And lastly, we'll just take a look at our infrared satellite. And everything is beautiful over the northeast. A few puffy cumulus clouds over the higher elevation. But you can look offshore and you can see that stalled out frontal boundary in here. And the little wave that's forming just off the Carolina coast that knocked the cloud bank back a little bit. But like I said, this should stay offshore everywhere, south of New Jersey, as far as the clouds are concerned, would have the clouds, and north of the southern New Jersey would stay in the sunshine, and basically the only people that should see any kind of issue with the clouds, this is southeast Massachusetts, Cape Cod, and the islands might get a few clouds, and even those clouds, for the most part, besides maybe Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, even those clouds should be on the thin side. They shouldn't be, enough to ruin anybody's beach vacation if they're out there. So that's it for now. I should give you another update over the weekend. I'll keep an eye on the storms and the derechos and the nachos and the Doritos and all that. And till then, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.